Another day, another rumor about what's going on with Ruben Amorim at Man United. And the latest one is that he could walk away. He could make it this bad and say, actually, I'm kicking into self-preservation mode. He could walk away. Shout out Craig David. What is this? You get the chance to come in here, change Man United's fortunes around, make it worse, and then just slide off into the sunset with or without severance, because who knows? But is that the right thing to do? There's people, apparently, according to a report in the newspaper, that in Man United, they think that he could kick into self-preservation mode and preserve his own reputation before it gets too bad. That's already happened. That's already happened. You've come this far of making it this bad, or being part of making it this bad, because it is the players as well. But now there's talks of maybe I'll just leave. And actually, listen, if we listen to the manager himself, he said this before. So listen, there's going to be a lot of you out there who maybe hope he quits. There's going to be a lot of you out there who maybe say, listen, stick with it, keep going, don't be a quitter. Like he's told us, sometimes he wants to stay and fight. Sometimes he does want to quit. So as a fan, I don't know what to believe. I can't make my mind up of what the manager said, because the manager's done this and told me various different things.
Ruben Amorim. Yes, let's talk about Ruben Amorim and how there are thoughts that maybe he could quit. Maybe not even necessarily because things are so terrible at Manchester United, but more so just because, well, I've got to say myself, mate, reputation's on the line here. According to Pete Hall from the newspaper, one insider at Manchester United insisted Ruben Amorim will soon have to consider how to preserve his own long-term reputation, and added he could walk away before his Premier League record becomes any more embarrassing and potentially career-defining, which is quite humorous flex, considering this is currently the list of names that he's keeping.
Yeah, exactly.
You could argue that's already pretty career-defining and pretty embarrassing. Nevertheless, already the talks have started rumbling flex about possible alternatives, interim solutions. Alex Crook from TalkSport and Ben Jacobs also said that Michael Carrick would be tempted by a return to Manchester United. The club have, despite other reports, started work on a contingency plan if results do not improve and Ruben Amorim is sacked. This is likely to comprise a list of potential short-term options, which I think a bit more has been said about that than they necessarily should. It's like kind of going, I don't know, Flex would take Man United job. Like, it's kind of like, you know what I mean? Michael Carrick could be welcome a return. Well, why wouldn't he welcome a return to Manchester United, right? Another name admired by the Red Devils is Andoni Iraola. The Cherries are vulnerable to an approach for their impressive manager whose contract expires at the end of the season. If Amorim does not survive, United would prefer a successor with the experience of English football. There's also been Xavi linked to it. Fabrizio Romano getting on the phone to Xavi's agent once again, pushing that one. He would join Manchester United immediately, even without European football. But despite all of this, the Mail did say last night that the feeling inside Old Trafford is that Ruben Amorim can still turn the season around. Sources are adamant Amorim still has Sir Jim Ratcliffe's backing, and the club have not drawn up a short list of replacements despite those reports previously. But I think Adam Crafton kind of said it the best here from the Athletic. He said, quote, "When you get to these times as a journalist, you're talking to a lot of people to get a sense of where the club is at. From some of the people I'm speaking to, I think the first rumblings of this cycle we've become so familiar with are starting. Does that mean Amorim is going to be fired immediately? No. There's people starting to think of what might happen next." And that's the feeling, isn't it?
Yes, that's definitely where we are. That's the
feeling right now.
Yeah, and it isn't just journalists who work in that space. We see it as fans about how this process goes. We've all been here before, whether you're a player, whether you're a staff member in Man United, whether you're a journalist, a pundit, a reporter, and of course us, the fans. Yeah, no one feels it more than us. We follow it day in, day out. It's our life and blood. Yeah, Man United. So we, even from how it's gone before, and as fans, as following social medias, listening to updates or following reports on X from all the tier ones, what happens. It's very similar, because you start to learn the process, isn't it? The longer we do all of this, it's very similar to like the exits of players as well. Like we've got bad contracts with players, and I always talk about the initiation of the cycle. It's the same principle with this. when it comes to the manager. What happens is exactly what Adam Crafton just said. It feels like, right, it's not sack him tomorrow. It's never felt like we could wake up in the morning or before we go to bed at night and put our head on our pillow, Ruben's going to be gone. It's never felt like that.
Yeah,
it's never felt like that.
We're not that.
Yeah, club statement. We decided to part ways, or even let's be honest, it's so big that we don't even get shocked by the club statements. You always find out someone from either an Ornstein will have it as an exclusive, or a Romano, or someone from MEN, someone credible will say reports are saying that Ineos have decided to part ways, and then everyone will pipe up, and then the club statement will come. But we definitely are, and I think we can agree is we're baffled, or some of us are baffled, because some are like, actually, he should be there, keep waiting and stuff. But a lot of us are baffled as to why Ineos haven't made the change and who's going to be all of this stuff. But we don't know where Ineos lie with that, about when they may do this or how long it's going to take if things don't improve. But that bit there, what would happen next? Who could be out there? And I was watching another piece of content on The Athletic. Obviously, The Athletic are the leaders. They do such great stuff. And it might have been Adam Crafton still, actually. But it was a video anyway, and I saw a clip anyway. And he was basically saying about the managers, that it's going to be a manager's market in the summer. Like a real attractive, like when we were speaking about strikers last year.
Yeah.
This is going to be like a manager's market. You got Flick at Germany. You got Iriola and Glasner. Their contracts are up. They're like free.
Is it Flick? Was it?
No, not Flick. Sorry, Nagelsmann. Sorry, Nagelsmann. Sorry, at Germany, not Flick. He's a bastard. Sorry, my mistake. I think it was Nagelsmann, because I think he has like a short-term thing that's like, we'll get to the World Cup, we'll do that. I think they were insinuating, and there was a few others.
End of Euro 2028.
Oh well, he said he added his name in there as well to say like he could be attainable anyway, right?
Depends what happens after the World Cup, I suppose.
Yeah, because I say they have a shit World Cup or something. I don't know, but he added his name in. But definitely, Glasner's up at the season, and I think Iriola's contract's up in the summer as well. So he was basically saying like, well, is it like United are more thinking, you can go and do you go down an interim route to get someone, big in the summer that you can get in and they're free and it doesn't cost as much and this, that, and the other, versus trying to go to Crystal Palace, halfway through the season, although he has got, half a year left on his deal essentially. But rather than trying to do that, or rather than trying to go to Bournemouth and getting Oriola out, etc., do you do that? Or are Man United thinking, let's just hang on in there, like to save all of that, having to make those decisions and get compensation and get this guy out of that club and pay this guy, because they've just done it less than a year ago. They've just done it. So I think it really is that. I think it's a mixture. I actually think it's a mixture of everything, as to why, because when people are like, there's no way they can still believe in him. I think their belief in him, I think their belief in him is less stemming from we 100% think he's still the guy, and it's more stemming from, well, we more hope he is, but we've just invested so much into this. We actually need to see it get even worse before we make a decision. Like we have to think very, very carefully before committing more funds to ripping up this contract, pay that off and get another guy in. We have to think very, very carefully because we've committed so much to this long-term vision with this manager. And just on Ruben quitting, I don't think he's going to quit. I don't think he's going to quit. I really don't think he's going to quit. One thing I actually do, I say commend him for, respect him for. I don't think he's a quitter. I don't think when he says, I know it's hard to listen to what he says because he says he's emotional, but he is quite passionate about, listen, I don't feel the pressure of getting sacked because I'm not in control of that. Every day that I'm here, I'm going to keep fighting to turn this around. That I do believe. It's not going to work, but I do believe he believes I ain't quitting. Like, until Ineos tell me not to come to work anymore, I'm going to keep doing my hardest, trying my hardest.
Ruben, he's not going to quit. I don't think. I think he threatens it. He's threatened it a bunch of time, but it's very much boy who cried wolf scenario. Now, if he says it again, I'm like, well, you're not going to. He's not going to quit. He's going to want to get whatever financial settlement that he does get, whether it be before that date in November or afterwards, where he could get more or less money. He's not going to quit, I don't think, in that regard. When it comes to, because also as well, I mean, I don't know how this would work, but maybe if he quit, what happens to his backroom staff that he cares about so much? Do they forego kind of compensation payments?
Definitely.
You know what I mean? Like again, how does that? You know what I mean? You're taking care of people as well, so I don't think he's going to quit. But it does frustrate me, to be honest, when I see what Adam Crafton is saying there. Whereas, like, it feels like now we've actually started this, cycle, and we're talking about what could happen afterwards. Then that's when you sort of go, well, this is bullshit then. Because if you're Ineos and people around can feel it off, right, we know where this is heading. We know what road this is going down. Good leadership is not waiting for it to get there and going, we know the Titanic, we're going into that iceberg. I tell you what, we're out. Let's just see if we're going to go into it. Well, we are going to go into it. We know we're going to go into it. Well, let's just see. No, good leadership is, can we actually turn this around? Do we have to crash into it first? Do we have to continue to sink before we decide to make a change? Or can we see that we're heading in that direction? Everyone knows we're heading in that direction. And can we be proactive and make a change? And like you said, I think now it's coming down to like finances and stuff, isn't it? Of going, well, let's just hope that maybe it does get a little bit better. And let's just hope that maybe we do win a couple of games between now and that time in November where it's a bit cheaper. And let's maybe do that. That's what it kind of feels like. I mean, as much as those within the club are publicly going out and saying that they support Ruben Amorim, or they're briefing to journalists that they support Ruben Amorim, I'd love to know if deep down that's what they actually felt. Because if they're football people worth their salt, they must know, looking at performances, they must know, looking at, I brought these up a million times yesterday, Flex, but looking at like these things of like, he's not even comparing to prior managers at Manchester United in terms of points he's got in the first. And in general in the Premier League, I mean, he is one of the worst managers at the moment in Premier League history because he's with that group of people. You know what I mean? And that's not even hyperbolic to say that, going, you just, like, statistically at the moment is one of the worst coaches, not in just Manchester United history, but in Premier League history. So if there's football people worth their salt within the Manchester United organization, within Ineos, controlling football operations, they must know, looking at that, like, this isn't going to get turned around. This is going to end with Ruben Amorim leaving. That's how this situation is going to end. It would be one of the most miraculous turnarounds in Premier League history. Let's be honest, right? Not just Manchester United history. If Ruben Amorim got to a point where in a couple of years' time, he was competing, for Premier League titles with Man United after this start, after that start, it'd be one of the most unbelievable
biggest turnarounds ever.
Turnarounds in Premier League history.